It's just glaringly obvious now, as this one thing in particular has turned the Rangers season around. We're going to break that down, as well as some comments from Coach Peter Laviolette, and we're going to highlight another player who has been playing fantastic lately. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And another short announcement here really quick. We are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast and want to listen to your podcast, we are there now as well. So go check that out if you'd rather listen or download or what have you, listen in the car for all your Rangers news daily. This is the place to be. But let's jump right into it. And a few things have changed the Rangers season around. And one thing, we're going to get to JT Miller in a second because that's the most obvious thing. But one thing is the fourth line and the play of the fourth line and what Matt Rempe has been able to do ever since returning from his 8-game suspension. And, you know, you don't hear too much about it on ESPN or at times from even the Rangers broadcast, although recently they have been giving him his flowers because he has been good. And the Rangers fourth line as a collective unit has been good. But when you listen to Sportsnet too, they've been talking about Rempe and how he's a force to be reckoned with right now. And I think Rangers fans and a lot of people around the league don't quite understand because of the narrative that is around this player because of what he did last year, obviously a little bit this year. And obviously getting an 8-game suspension this year does not help that narrative. But because of that, they're not understanding or realizing how good this guy has been the last little while. He's been an X factor for the Rangers on the fourth line because of his speed, because of his skill, his physicality, and all these things that he's working on in the offseason. You're actually seeing it come to fruition right now. And I wanted to play and highlight this one clip from last night in particular. Look at the speed through the neutral zone here. He collects the puck and he's in on a breakaway, like from their own blue line. It's a great play there from Matt Rempe, and I just wanted to give him his flowers because again, he has been playing fantastic. And not just him, Johnny Brodzinski, who's another guy we're going to get into in a second. Even Brendan Othman have been adding a layer to that fourth line. As you can see here, Johnny Brodzinski has played the best hockey of his career lately. I'm pretty sure that I'm butchering his name, but nonetheless, he's really pushing to be an NHL regular. I would happen to agree with Laviolette here and there's a quote underneath here, as you can see here, that was from Vince Mercogliano, another article from Vince Mercogliano, and he went on to say that Laviolette has elected to play Brodzinski over recent trade acquisition Juuso Parssinen, that's been a big storyline the last little while. Almost everyone they've traded for at the trade deadline has been a healthy scratch at one point or another over the last couple of games. So that's another issue in and of itself, but maybe not an issue. Maybe it just speaks to how good some of the guys are playing right now, and you can't really take some of them out of the lineup. So because of the speed element he brings, his all-around game, and because of the positive influence he has on the Rangers, it just seems like a nice guy and a guy in the dressing room, kind of like a glue guy, right? Like one of those guys. So I think that, that's great for the Rangers as well. And Brodzinski, this is from John, is undeniably playing better right now than any other option like Juuso Parssinen. His speed and tenacity fit the type of game that they're trying to play right now. And the reason they're trying to play this type of game right now is because JT Miller has returned to the team. And he's another guy I wanted to highlight as well. We'll get to that in a second. But, there's a couple things wrong with the Rangers right now that they have to get fixed. The power play, it did look dangerous last night. It's got to be better. It has to be better moving forward in their next game against the Calgary Flames on Tuesday night. You're also playing a struggling Toronto Maple Leafs who their PK is terrible and their power play has been terrible. So you have to take advantage in the special teams game in that game in particular. And another guy I wanted to highlight who's also learning from obviously JT Miller, Will Cooley. Will Cooley has been fantastic pretty much all season, having a career year. And again, he's learning from JT Miller. Their games are similar in terms of the desperation that they bring, the physicality that they bring. Obviously, I think he's a great player. I bought his jersey. It's on my wall behind me to my left. So he's been great. He doesn't fly by. So many players in the NHL, and this is a great point from Johnny Lazarus, fly by the net now when there's a shot. He stops on the net. He puts the rebound in last night, and he tied the game for the Rangers. So obviously the only goal of the night for the team. So To move along now to JT Miller. He's been the thing that's completely changed this season around for the Rangers. I truly believe his style of play, the energy that he's brought, the fact that he's just keeping it simple, right? A lot of what he brings to the table is basic hockey 101. Dump the puck in and go get it, right? A lot of the Rangers don't like to do that, especially the top guys. So this is a great article, again, from Vince Mercogliano. And JT Miller went on to say, and I thought some of these quotes are fantastic in this article. We're going to get into stats in a second too, but I definitely come off as angry. And you can see that last week when he took that penalty against the Winnipeg Jets. But this is the type of stuff that you need to bring to the lineup. You need to play angry. There's so many implications right now. I mean, like they're trying to make the playoffs. They're in a playoff spot right now. It's not good enough. You want to continue to win. You need to play angry. And I think if this were to rub off on the rest of the team, that is leading by example. And he goes on to say, people may not like that, but I don't really give a bleep what they think. So he's just here to play hockey, to win hockey games. He went on to say, I play on a sharp sword. That's just how it is. I feel like I spent a lot of my career, explaining myself. I think people that know me as a teammate and a friend and a player, they understand my game and understand that it's just part of who I am. Everybody's different, so I try to regulate the emotions. I don't want it to go away because it brings out the best in me. When he gets mad, when this player gets mad and he plays angry, he is one of the best players in the entire league. He put up over 100 points last season, and when you take a look at his point totals this season compared to when the Rangers acquired him, he's having a great year. He's been great since he came over. He's over a point a game since he came over in the trade, and he just turned 32 years old. He's playing a ton of minutes. Obviously, let's not look at the giveaways and takeaways. This is a player who, high risk, high reward at times too. So you have to keep that in mind. But he's almost up to a point a game player this year after taking that leave of absence with the Vancouver Canucks and everything that happened over there. So he's put together a pretty good season, even though all those things happen. If he finishes a point a game player, I think that is a great season for JT Miller, considering last year he put up over 100 points as well, right? With all the turbulence of this season, I think that is great. So he's been a pleasure to watch for, I think, Rangers fans, and he's been great, and they need him to be great down the stretch. But acquiring him, this trade turned this season around. I don't think the Rangers are even sniffing the playoffs without him. I have to be honest. He's really turned things around, and he's been leading by example. And this is a quote from Peter Laviolette on JT Miller, and he said, he's a guy that plays the game the right way. Totally agree with that. Like, you want everyone to kind of be following what this guy brings to the lineup, and he takes 35-second shifts, 40-second shifts, and he plays them hard. He changes the right way. He drives the net. He stops in down low coverage. All the little things that you want from a player, he brings that to the table. He competes hard in battles. If somebody pushes him in front of the net, he pushes them back, and we've seen that. The Rangers need more battle, more fight in them, like JT Miller brings to the table. And I think it's starting, like I said, when they first acquired him, it is starting to trickle down to some other players like Will Cooley and a couple others like the fourth line who have been effective the last little while. So I truly believe that it's glaringly obvious at this point that this guy has turned their season around, and they will be making this year's playoffs. There's a lot of teams in the mix, but the Rangers have the veteran experience, and I wonder what's going to happen the rest of the way. I do want them to make the playoffs. I mean, the fact that you're in a playoff spot right now, there's no need to tank, right? Like, what draft pick are we trying to get at this point? It's going to be like 15th overall or something like that. Let's go make the playoffs and see what we can do in the playoffs. I think it's going to be exciting. But let me know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.